Hello. So me
Hey.
and Hadar is gonna have a little talk because it was funny. We were just chatting, and the topic came up about the no self and talking about yourself in the third person. And Hadar, you mentioned like the ND phase that people fall into when they when they're in that stage, and I was so surprised to hear you say that. So it would be interesting to talk about it more because for me, like I've been only been into non-duality for like 6 months, but I've been into a lot of other spiritual stuff before for like 15 years, and I followed people like Byron Katie and Eckhart Tolle that also had the me fall away. But it was only when I came across, like 6 months ago, I came across Tony Parsons, and that was the first time I think I heard it so directly. Like there's already nobody there, and then more people show up and show up, like those, like hundreds of people that are telling the same things, that the me has fallen away for them. And it's so fascinating to me, and there's a resonance, like I feel the truth of it, or like I feel there's something there. But then you mentioned that you saw it just as a phase, so I was interested to hear more about what you were thinking around that. Yeah.
Yeah. So there was a moment. I think it's very natural. I call it a phase because there is a seeming phase. If I could go back in the memory in the way we're speaking here, it seems like it's going into something new because the system didn't know how to function this way. It's there is kind of for here it was dropping slowly, this idea of this the me, the identification with someone that has a story, that something, all this structure of I was the story, kind of start to fall down, and seeing that the idea of Adar was not her story. So the idea of Adar was the story. I was the what happened to Adar. So this is why it feels like when you talk in the third person, so there is no more Adar, because there is a saying that the full-on living story kind of drop of being identified with it. Like this is why they call it the me falling, the falling of the me, because there's no me, there's no really someone, okay? But it felt like there is someone living a life, this imaginary existence of someone living a life. It was seen after. When it's lived, it doesn't seem imaginary. It seems very, very real. It feels like there is someone living a story, living a life. Life is happening to it. It's a relationship with something. When it started to be seen that actually it's imaginary, there's no actual me, physical me living a life. Life is expressing in different ways, even the talk, the ideas, they are not owned by someone. This is here just an expression, and whatever happens happens. And there's this imaginary me that felt very real, start to be seen that it was not really something. So this is why it feels like something dropped. I don't know how, I don't know why, because I didn't do anything. Nothing, nobody did anything, but this is actually happened. This able to see that. I don't know why.
It's like a reorientation, yeah. you're not focused in time and space
So,
in the same.
but it's not, I'm not focused. There's nothing happening. I just, the idea, so the ideas, so it started here very graduate. And I can remember the idea of time and space, this idea, because in the mind, the idea of time was very structured. I thought time was really from here to there, like something in the structure of the understanding. Thought time is really from one point to another. It was really structured like that. And then when realized that there is no really like one point to another, it's there's no, it's beautifully structured to understand notion of distance. And when this fell, it was, I saw it just an idea distance. There's no distance. It was really construct idea. And this fell, boom, saying that, say, oh, there's no, it was imagined, the point for here to here, me going from here, because we are so used to see as distance. I go, because if you go from here to work or to your back, the mind see this, imagine distance, imaginary distance. So time, when you talk about from 4 to 9, there is imaginary, it makes like this for here. So it gets structured in imaginary points. So when this is seen, that there's no actually really points and distance, this falls down.
But saying that, how can there be such a thing as a ND phase?
Like
You know
what? Ah,
what
okay,
you
you're
said.
going back to the ND phase because there is a moment it's lived fully, because when this drops, this idea, all these ideas start to drop. So there is a moment that you see that all your story that believed to be you, it was not held by someone. So of course, if you go back, you will say the story of Adar, because Adar was identified with something that was kind of real. Okay, was kind of imaginary but felt real. So maybe before that, I would say Adar did this, that, but it was a really sense of Adar do that, this, that. It was a strong sense. And when this start to fall down, it's more like very light, it's very light. It doesn't feel that somebody holds something. So of course, I will say that's the story of Adar, because Adar, as it felt before, do not really exist as it felt before. But it always existed. It's not like I'm gone now. I was always that. But the felt sense, this bubble of imaginary existing over me, start to fall apart, this belief. And
The
then
objectification, yeah.
yeah, it's just a belief that start to see itself that it was just a belief, and then of course I will tell you the story of Adar, because there's no ownership on this story. But so I can speak in the third person, the story of Adar did that, but because there is no feeling of ownership. But I will not speak like that anymore, because there's no need to speak like that anymore. For me here, there's no need, because nothing grabbing anything. So I've not even say the story. There is no difference between the story of Adar or not the story of Adar, or the I will say I don't care to say there's
So
no.
you were more talking about the languaging. I
Yeah, so
didn't.
because in the language there is energy, there is connection in the language. When they meet, when there is a feeling of something really there, the language was very important, because it was owned, the words was owned, everything has a meaning. So language had a lot of meaning. Language, it was owned also. The feeling of the meaning was owned also. So when was saying the story of that, there is ownership of it. And when this breaks a little bit, when it get more airy, there's no need to say the story of Adar. Adar had didn't have any
That's so
story.
funny because it doesn't matter either way. Like just because someone uses this language, it doesn't mean that they're holding
Yeah,
on to it.
it doesn't mean anything. But here there is no, it was a moment, it was more strong saying, because still was seeing there was a big seeing of not being that, and then there is something new is coming up, so there was a more need to say, because there is kind of I don't know, maybe breaking apart, I don't know how to tell you, just this feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a more need to say, it was like a transaction period, so it was more need to say this, Adar did that, or just like the breaking, kind of breaking
Yeah,
apart.
the
I
reaction
can, I
to
can
the old.
just do this this
But
movement.
I think it doesn't have to. I think it doesn't have to be like that. You know.
No, of course not. It doesn't have to. But it seems I can see it happening a lot. It's just because I can see it happening a lot, and
Mm-hmm.
I've seen other cases. It stops after a while. It's not only here. It's I can see it for many other characters. So this is why I call it a phase. But it's a beautiful. I will not. Like when it's happened, it happens. And but if I can see back, if I can imagine backwards the way it felt and talked, it was fully talking this way, and then after a while there's no importance, like it's more really, I don't know if it's a release or just more relaxation. There's no more need to speak, to make a difference between Adar or not Adar, or just to say I, or
Yeah, I didn't realize that you were talking about the way the language, like because to me that doesn't matter either way. Like, um, yeah.
yeah, but there's no reason for, I will talk about Adar as Adar, a third person. I can talk to myself as I, and I don't care if you say there is a I or there's no I don't care, because or
Mm-hmm.
you understand, because it doesn't mean anything. So I can continue saying
But it
Adar
also
did
doesn't
this or did that.
say anything about the actual reality of what is,
It
because
doesn't change
I thought
anything.
you meant that the whole thing with the no me was like a phase, or that was what surprised me.
Yeah, because there is a moment, it's very accentuate about the no me, because for here it can be a moment of some breaking apart from this ownership feeling. So you don't know, it's like you don't feel what is what, in a way. This is what it felt here. You don't feel what is it's like there is a, like, old system, new system of being. And so sometimes you're just like going from here to there, but there's no importance, because after you see that they're both the same thing, that's no, this is why I say, when this happens, like nothing happened. It's just like lucidity, that you never really been there. So,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the lightness of that, the story, this heaven and this relationship. This is why we speak about the relationship, because the first relationship is this relationship,
Mm-hmm.
this imaginary ownership of what's happening. And then seeing that there was nobody really on and anything, nobody had really a life,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's and then you can see that it was the same, everything was the same, as nothing really happens special. It's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the same. But here everything lives more in a fluid with what's happening. It's more fluid, it's more this heaviness of this ownership drop.
Yeah.
I can call it as heaviness, because it felt very heavy. And the relationship to the world was the same. Everything was,
It's the matter. Things matter. It's yeah. You have to make the right choices for your
of
life.
course. Of course, if it was about you, everything matters. Everything is a competition. Everything is it matter. Um, you have to be always safe. It's everything around this system. and the relationship with the out with the world will be seen like that. You will see really people doing to you things, so you do to them, and then there is this boom, this big explosions of ideas, and because it's added of this and this thing, this I would call it a thing. This thing is added on what's happening, so it's
Exactly. It's an extra layer. Yeah.
yeah, so it's make it more strong, like it's more heavy, more strong. The clashes are more heavy, more strong, you know. It's give it,
It's also the position, holding a position against other people's position. Like that, it's
yeah,
the objectification of everything.
it's fortified everything. Everything is more puissance. In French, you say puissance de.
Right.
So this is why when it's lived like that, everything is more accentuated.
But it's so funny to listen to people, talk about this because it's so, I mean, of course, it's different from the different people, but it's so similar.
Yeah, this is why it's funny. It's very similar.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah,
why
yeah,
we
yeah.
resonate. It will be spoken so in different ways. And this is what is lovely about the group, because you just say, oh yeah, it's like, in a way you can see it in different expression, the same thing in different expression, and it feels good. It feels just, it just resonate in so many ways, but it's the same thing.
Mm.
And then there is kind of lightness, and then there is connection with the lightness, and then it's this is why there is a lot of enjoyment sharing, because there is this happiness, I think, that we all share, this you.
Yeah, it's so exciting. Like this whole thing, it's so exciting. It's like the most vibrant thing.
Yeah, this drop of this heaviness is like, I cannot say it's not wonderful,
Mhm.
but no one did it, no one did
Exactly.
it.
Exactly.
Well, we have 10 minutes, and then if you want, we reconnect or not.
I think it's okay with the one part for this one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm. So what else? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm like balancing a little bit between because I don't feel like I'm in this state where I've dropped the me fully, or I mean,
You
I
don't
still
you
feel,
don't drop me. You don't
no,
drop me.
I know. It's
Yeah.
not an event. I mean,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know all
That
the
you don't,
I
you
know
just,
all
you
the
don't feel.
I understand the whole theory of it, and I do feel it, but it's like it's not my full experience,
Yeah. Yeah.
But I completely get it anyway,
Yeah.
so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you have a sense of it. You have a sense, something saying, oh, okay, I have something that
Yeah,
feel
and
what you're saying.
yeah, exactly. And it also doesn't matter to me. Like I'm not chasing this
Yeah.
thing or anything. Like but it's fascinating. I love listening to people talking from this place because it's so open and it's completely free. Like I feel that freedom and that, uh, yeah.
I would say it's like calling the bees to the honey. You cannot help
Uh-huh.
it.
Mhm.
You cannot help it. It's so beautiful.
Mhm.
And when it's sang so beautifully, just like, oh, like,
Mhm.
when I read the Nancy Nettercart songs, my goodness,
Yeah.
it's expressed so beautifully. It's like almost when I read the words, I can just leave it, like this openness right away. It's so
Yeah, it's amazing. All the different ways that people express it,
yeah,
all with their own flavor. Yeah. Yeah. Mm.
yeah. This is nice.
Lovely to hear your take on it or whatever you call it.
It's
So
it's hard to talk about it. This is
it
why
is.
it's very, very hard. I have just feelings and and images, and this is why it's very hard to bring it to words,
Yeah,
because it's vast than just put it in words. So
exactly.
yeah.
But you can still feel it anyway.
Yeah. So if I will express it or not, it's not important, you know. But
Exactly.
sometimes it's easier to share if you have a sense of it. So then it will be easier to share the words. We don't need to use a lot of words. It's just like
To have a what?
yeah.
Sorry.
I said when there is already a sense of it, when
Mm,
we don't need to use a lot of words. We just can say one or two and you say, yeah, you know, yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's it.
that's it. um, okay.
Nice seeing you, Andrea. Always a
Yeah,
pleasure.
always a pleasure. Let's connect again soon.
Yes. Mwah. Kiss.
Love.
Bye.
Bye.